You know, I've been crying and whining for a while because I wanted to play Deltarune. So I played chapter 1, the usual, well, quote-unquote normal route, and went back to whining about it because I wanted Deltarune. So I bought it, exactly on the 11th of June, and later went on a weekend trip. So when I returned, I wanted to play my recently bought game. And so I did. Now I had a week and a half to finish all the chapters with both routes and every single secret boss before the release of the 5th chapter. You know, I underestimated my little to no skills that I have on both Undertale and Deltarune when I started this challenge. Deltarune tomorrow, today, whenever I'm actually posting this. Okay, I'll be honest, I genuinely don't know if I'll be able to put this video out before the release of chapter 5 or a couple of days after the release. I was already working on another video before the chapter 5 got announced, but seeing it on the Nintendo Direct, I had a crazy idea. Little did I knew that I was gonna regret that idea. Before anything, I'd like to apologize if this video's editing isn't as good. I was editing this video against time because I tried my best for this video to not release after June 24, Chapter 5's release. As I said, I bought this game earlier this month, so I genuinely thought I would be able to finish this game before the release of Chapter 5. And with enough time to spare, but I didn't. You know, the moment I'm writing this, it's still the time I don't know if I was able to finish the game. So it's still unknown for me if I was able to make it. That's the look as well, my Okay, this has nothing to do with the video, but I have genuinely that audio stuck in my head for a while. It's kind of crazy.
Dustin, Lucas, Will, Mike.
Now, the rules of this challenge were pretty simple, I guess. I mean, it's completing every route I can take in the game. The first, of course, was finishing every chapter blindly, cause, you know, I already watched gameplays for each of the chapters, but I didn't play any other chapter aside chapter 1. But anyways, the idea was to go over the main route with no intention of looking for Easter eggs or doing the Snowgrave route, just play the games as if I didn't know what happens in every chapter. And so, when I reached the first secret boss section, I duplicated my save file so I could continue as I was already intending and use this duplicated save file to go over every single secret boss in the game. Later on, upon reaching chapter 2 and Noel joining Chris, I would duplicate the file again, for the sake of later on ruining both of their lives doing a Snowgrave route. And so, with the 3 routes I was gonna take established, it was time to start the game. And of course I started with the normal route. I know, fucking obvious. I know! But I could have started with the secret bosses route. I don't have much to say about chapter 1. You know, it's the introduction of the game. It introduces the mechanics, the story, characters, the world, etc. And it's quite simple and easy. With this, it begs the question that I still don't have an answer to. How the fuck was I so bad when I first played it on my Nintendo Switch? You know, I didn't die even once while playing this for a second time, but died enough times while first playing it on the Switch. I'll never know the answer to it, but you know, whatever. It's not a bad chapter, it's not the best, it's okay, it's a good introduction and a good starting point. And dude, game was so fucking easy, you can't imagine. Dear God, the difficulty here compared to the last chapter is insane! I'll be honest, I love the cyber world. I genuinely can't describe the feeling I had when I first got into the cyber world. It is definitely one of, if not the best dark worlds in the game. So when I first started playing this chapter, time was already against me. Mainly because I started this chapter like 3 days after finishing the first one. Why, you ask? Because my stupid ass genuinely thought that I could take down Jebel with little to no dodging skills I had. For 3 days, every single time I booted up the game was to go and fight his ass. Did I do well? Well, you know, we'll see when we get to that section. But this was the chapter I had to speedrun the most right after the 4th. So, Deltarune Chapter 2. I'm gonna be honest, I really like this chapter despite thinking I wouldn't like it as much as I did. This chapter is definitely fun and very interesting to say the least. I'll be honest, I didn't care that much for Noelle until playing this chapter. But seeing her talk about her childhood and shit to both us and Chris and Susie, I didn't care much. She was okay, but I'll be honest, I loved how this chapter fully introduces her character. Now let's address the bird in the room, Birdly. I'm not a fan. I don't hate him, but I'm not a fan. Look, I agree with Quinn. There's nothing wrong about him, but he annoys the fuck out of me, especially on his battle. But I can help but laugh at some of his stuff, and can't deny that I also love how this chapter introduces his character too. Now, to finish talking about the characters, I loved Quinn. Dear God, she's so funny. My second favorite boss. She's genuinely funny and even interesting. I loved her. No, I hate his fucking guts, but he's one of my favorite characters. You know, your number one rated salesman. Spamton! Spamton! And now the remaining characters, our protagonists. I genuinely like them way much more than before. They get so much better this chapter. I mean, well, what the fuck was I expecting seeing the stories progressing? Anyway, the game itself, I'm gonna be honest, I got this shit on me since I first went into this fight. But Birdly has no fucking right being as hard as he was. God, that fight was hard. The pacing was good. It was pretty good. And what concerned me the most, well, at least for the challenge I was posing on myself, how challenging the chapter was. And I feel like if I didn't complete the chapter as easy as I did, I wouldn't have able to finish any of the other chapters prior chapter 5 release. So, as soon as I got to the Cyber City, I was lost and got to places where I shouldn't have gone to, slowing down my process. But I still finished 2 chapters in one day, so it's definitely something. It's not a bad thing, you know? You know what I realized I love to do? Spamming save points, that's right. I'm gonna be honest, I expected this chapter to be as easy as the previous one. Maybe a little harder, of course, you know. Of course, like the game is progressing. But oh god, did I struggle to fight Giga Queen. I think I said this already before, but this chapter's difficulty was definitely an insane glow up from the previous one. Again, did I struggle with this chapter's bosses? I complained about this early, but genuinely, Birdly had no right being such a hard boss. You know, that's all I have to say about this chapter. I genuinely loved it, and I wasn't expecting it, and I feel like my genuine favorite bits were those moments with the characters in which we get to know more about them, and you know, Queen too. So I completed chapter 2, and immediately hopped onto chapter 3.
Spamton G. Spamton, that's my fucking name. I am secret boss in Deltarune game.
Mr. Antenna TV time! Okay, God, I love Tenna. I already knew I was gonna like this chapter a lot, mainly because of how original it is and how it explores 2 of my favorite characters of this game. So that's why as soon as I ended chapter 2, I played chapter 3. But I had to take a little pause and go fight Jebel first, but that's out of this section. So I started chapter 3, and I'll be honest, Chris's couch is dirty as fuck, man, cause the amount of dust like thingy piles you find after getting off the couch is crazy. So you know, I leave the couch and have to listen to Susie and Rousey talking about the festival and shit, and then Tenna appears. We know the deal, okay? And you know, when I was playing, I was thinking, and I don't know if people would agree with me, I don't know, maybe. But I feel like a really good headcanon voice for Tenna could definitely be Kane from the Digital Circus. I mean, they're both insane show hosts. I can imagine why Kane's voice wouldn't fit Tenna with a bit of effects. Okay, I have a genuine question. Have you seen a divorce so bad it traumatizes the fucking TV? We know Asriel took Chris out to it, so it wouldn't take a toll on both of them so bad. But no one took out the poor TV. One of my favorite things about this chapter, for me personally, is the way it explores Chris's past and the family TV by consequence. Look, in every universe, Toriel and Asgore are meant to divorce because of the death, or in this case, disappearance of someone really beloved for the family. And I find it kind of sad, you know? They are meant to be happy, and Asgore's like top 10 characters in fiction, so for the bare minimum. or how we would call him in Spanish, un megajero total. Now, this chapter is definitely fun. You know, Tena has a fucking fan meter, and I like this chapter a lot. The chapter is definitely not the longest, which helped me a lot with what I was aiming for, because little did I knew that I was gonna get cut short after finishing this chapter. And so much so that I was able to finish this one the same day I completed the previous one. So, you know, a win is a win. Now, the gameplay. I feel like everyone who has played this can all agree that this chapter is the one that differentiates the most from the others gameplay-wise. You're stuck on the two boards for at least an hour, and that's being generous, but I like them a lot. They're fun. But as usual for me in this game, I got stuck. And I didn't know how to move forward, so I got stuck for a while on board 1. And I was running already out of time again. You know, for this chapter I had enough time to finish, but this fucking board didn't help at all. And oh dear god, the physical challenge. I'm a real. I changed the control to WASD, as I would suspect one normally would, and it was all fine with my WASD. I mean, it was even better than before. Before I discovered I can change the controls, but the kitchen, restaurant, or however it's called, mini-game, got me bad with the controls, you know? For this type of segments, you can usually use either the default keys or use the Enter, Shift, and Control keys. But here you couldn't. I was stuck with the default keys of the mini game. So I had to replay it like 3 times, and Tena kept asking me if I was like dumb or something. I don't know, I never read that dialogue. Now, I wasn't the best at any of the physical challenges, and neither was I good at the trivia things. Okay, no, the trivias were kind of easy until they asked real question. But you know, I saw that Chris coughs to help you at this trivia. Well, they fucking didn't. I don't know what I did wrong, but I got pissed off and then continued playing. They didn't help me, and I got pissed off. Now, the boss fight wasn't the easiest, cause I had Rosie down the whole fight. Yeah, and Chris and Susie both ended the fight with an HP below 20. But it was fun. I feel like most of the fandom can agree that the funniest and most likable fight of this game is definitely Tena's boss fight. It's pretty dynamic, and I love the fact that I don't have to actually hit him during the fight, cause all I did was play the minigames during the boss fight, and I loved it. And so I finished the fight, saw Tena get killed in front of me, tried fighting the Roaring Knight and lost because I wasn't going to be able to dodge those attacks, and finished the chapter. And so, you know, when I finished this chapter, I was pretty confident I was gonna complete the challenge. Little did I know I wasn't going to be able to play for like the next 4 days.
Driving in my car right after a beer. Hey, that bomb is shaped like a deer.
So I started these chapters 3 days before chapter 5 and finished it 2 days before chapter 5. So I knew, since I started this chapter, I was fucked, like triple fucked. I wasn't gonna make it on time, and little did I knew that the Titan was gonna slow down my progress way more than I expected. And so I started chapter 4. When I started this chapter, I was pissed off because the only reason I wasn't able to save Tena was only one shutout. So I started this chapter pissed off already. You know, Toriel invites us to church, we all go to church, and you choose if Chris falls asleep or stays awake. And you know, I had this little thing called time, so we're sleeping. And I genuinely love doing the cup drinking shit in front of all of these. It's kind of like the first time the Solo and Chris agree on something, because I didn't tell her to throw the cup, but I found it hilarious. When we go out, I genuinely wanted to get the Chris and Susie cutscene at the diner, slowing down my process again. So I went for it, and I didn't care about time at the moment, so this is something for the whole chapter in general, but I love the way Chris's and Susie's friendship was developing on this chapter. I tried to get all the little cutscenes of these two bonding, and I loved it. The ones I got, I loved it. I don't know if there is more, but the ones I got, I loved it. I loved their friendship a lot, so I was happy, and then I had to go to Noel's house to get beaten the fuck out of. I find Chris's aim insane, cause tell me how did I got hit from under a bed with a hockey thingy, and I wasn't even close. But you know, you can always get back at them. And so I did. I got back at Chris by rage baiting them. And so off to the next fountain we go. Oh my god. So it's all cool and fun and games until that one library section after meeting Carson. And you know, I kind of stupid. I feel like I've already said it a lot of times while making this video. I get stuck easily. I got stuck a lot while playing this chapter. And so I didn't know how to do the piano moving sections at the library. So I had to look for a playthrough and realized how easy it was. So I did all that just to get my ass beaten by the knight without even fighting. But it's fine, you know, it's fine, you know, it's fine. Now, what wasn't fine at all was the Jackenstein fight. I hated every single bit of it. Oh, you're taking too long, bitch, you're making this too hard, and I'm stupid. You're asking so much from me. I'm not taking too long, you're taking too long. God, I hate the Jackenstein fight. I can't believe I kept losing to Jackenstein. Just for it to not matter again, because then I was just gonna start farming aura in my face minutes later. And lock themselves, so I have to get out without even beating their ass. And they've been my ass countless times. You know, I'm starting to feel like that connection, if you want to call it like that, between the knight and Chris isn't strong enough. Because what do you mean the knight can still make a hit of like to the 2050 of damage to Chris, but if I make a perfect hit on chapter 3, Chris just does 20 damage. You know, this isn't pretty much reciprocating. It's one-sided. It's like a one-sided connection. So, you know, I don't think that connection is that legit. But who cares? I had to get out and seal the fountain. Especially because I had less than half a day left to finish the chapter. Shit wasn't looking good now. And that's when I realized I wasn't gonna finish 3 routes or save files, however you want to call them, I had in mind. I had less than half a day. Because I also had to record and finish this video, and for it I needed at least a day. Because if not, I wasn't finishing anything and I wasn't posting anything for like 2 weeks, because I had another video, but the Nintendo Direct came along. And so I decided to leave that video for later. Anyways, I was back into the light world and exploring. We found Gerson's ashes, and Susie was horrified, and by how Chris moved, they were horrified too. And so there's that. And like I said earlier, I was looking forward to all the little scenes between Chris and Susie. And you know, the piano section was really cute and heartwarming. Again, I love their relationship. They've been developing a really cool friendship. But it's cut short because you gotta go back into that world again. Oh my god. Then you get to the locked door. And then the Titan. So you sit and wonder and think. The first boss of this game was a fucking kid on a bike. And now you're fighting whatever this health pun is. Holy shit, the Titan was hard as fuck. You can tell that whatever that thing is definitely not sentient, and it's just some insane bullshit amount of darkness like Ralsei says. So finishing the first part of the battle was such a relief. Gerson appearing to help was amazing, and I'll be honest, I got excited as hell when I saw that hammer. And the fight, at the scene where Susie just fucking dunks on the Titan with Chris, is fire, bro. It made me forget that I was just pissed off minutes earlier. And so we reached the final panel. I'm gonna be honest, throughout the chapter when Susie was like, oh, super cool prophecy panels, I genuinely was laughing my ass off because Susie, trust me, you're super excited right now, but I don't think that your friend is gonna be as excited as you seeing their panel, and I know for a fact you're gonna end up pissed off at the prophecy at the end. We get to the final prophecy, all cool, Susie destroys the prophecy, and the end of the chapter. So I finished chapter 4 before Deltarune tomorrow. And for real, in my opinion, this game is depressing as fuck, man. The ending of this chapter just proves to me how heavy hometown feels, and I was feeling that since like the beginning of the game. And I feel it especially through the eyes we're seeing it, you know, because I genuinely feel like the main reason, or one of the main reasons it feels like this is because of Chris's past in the town, and not just that, but in general, the shit the town has gone through. I mean, they don't even have functioning Wi-Fi. Hometown is depressing, especially compared to the dark world. And even more in chapter 4, we literally come from the fun and silliness from the past to dark worlds. and we're thrown into the heavy atmosphere of hometown, to then get thrown into the dark world where everything goes south and we have to fight a fucking embodiment of darkness. God, I hated fighting the Titan. And now that I finally finished all chapters in the normal playthrough, I had two routes I could take. The longest one, because I know damn well I'm gonna suck as in like every secret boss fight. Or I could just go with the easier one, ruin both Noel's and Chris's lives, and it'd be shorter, because you know Toby Fox kind of like punishes the players for taking that route by reducing the playtime of that route and taking away a lot of crucial and cool details of chapter 2. And I had less than a day to finish whichever route I chose. So I had a choice. The short psychological destroying route that would definitely benefit from the challenge I was doing, or the longer one that I definitely can't handle well for this challenge due to how mid I am at the battle sections. So I chose the secret bosses one. I know that for less than a day, and compared to the weird route, this is definitely the most impractical choice I could have taken. But I know how to skip the second board of the third chapter, and I could just fast forward every single text that doesn't involve a decision. You know, the idea was simple. I would work my way normally through the chapters until each secret boss fight, where I would deviate to each secret boss and the steps to get to them by following a tutorial. So I don't have to complicate myself by searching every single thing from the bosses blindly and skip every single bit of dialogue I have not seen, which you know would be difficult compared to the other route, because you know the new info that the weird route provides is quite a lot compared to this one. So I booted up the game for the last time before chapters 5 release.
I can't do anything. I'm in a fucking wheelchair. I got hepatitis C.
I only finished Jebel because time catched up on me. I might as so if I don't do that bad in chapter 5 when it releases, I might as well post another video going over the rest of the game, possibly and most likely covering chapter 5 too. And now, Jebel. If there is one character I liked but hated seeing in the game, was Spamton. God, I hate that salesman. It was Jebel, you know. I also hate Spamton, but tell me one Spamton fan that doesn't hate his gods. In all seriousness, no. I hated the Jebel fight. I was stuck on it for like a week, and that week it was like 2 hours trying to beat his ass, just for me at the end going for the pacify option instead of just killing him. Now you can't do anything, huh? Correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I know, he's kind of like the second hardest boss just behind the Roaring Knight, and it shows. You know, my best friend, when she was beating Jebel, she told me that she had to memorize Jebel's pattern the hard way. Because, yeah, memorizing Jebel's pattern is the only way to beat him. And so I beat him. And after finishing chapter 4, I was gonna go for all the other secret bosses. But lo and behold, I had less than 2 hours until Deltarune tomorrow. Cause on the day of Deltarune tomorrow, I'm just gonna be editing this shit. So, in summary, in conclusion, I didn't fulfill this challenge in the way I wanted. But hey, I'm just missing like half of it without chapter 5, of course. But at least the main route is good. I completed it. So again, I might as well post another part for this, finishing the rest of the game. If you enjoyed this, make sure to tell me in the comments. I barely say this on my videos, but I have a lot of fandom, internet, culture-like content. So if you enjoy that kind of content, I'll appreciate if you like and subscribe. And as always, if you want to share your opinions in the comments, feel free to do so. I'd love to be reading your comments. Have a great day, great afternoon, or great night whenever you're seeing this. Bye, chat!